Hi everyone. So welcome to the third session of the Flutter Circle, and today we're going to create our very first app. And we're assuming that all of you have already set up Flutter on your systems. So before we get started, we will be sharing a link in the chat. I want you guys to enter the name of your favorite food item. So just a second, I'm going to enter this link and I'll also start sharing. So you can enter anything on this link. Okay, somebody has said pizza, and we also have a pasta, rajma rice. Oh, rajma rice. Okay, yeah, sushi, noodles. Okay, looks like pizza is a very popular choice. It's the biggest. Oh, momos, pizza, and pasta. Are like okay, pizza is winning again. Okay, lots of great options. So has everyone entered, or should I wait for a few more minutes? If somebody is left, they can type in the chat or unmute themselves. Okay, I guess. Sorry, just a second. Has anybody typed anything? Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna assume that this is the final result, and since pizza is the biggest, that means it's the most popular food item. So just keep a note of this, like we'll be returning back to this in a second, and you'll understand what was the significance of this. Rosalia, can you share once
Yeah,
more?
I'm resuming my presentation.
Okay. So, since pizza was the most popular choice, and even we really agree with that choice because we love eating pizza too. So, just like keep a mental note of this, and we'll be coming back to this.
Now, we want to tell you a story about an app called I Am Rich. If you haven't heard of the story, basically, in the early days of the App Store, a guy called Armin Heinrich decided to create an app called I Am Rich. And it was a pretty clever idea. He decided that he was going to make an app that basically does absolutely nothing. It just shows a single icon of a red ruby on the screen. And he decided to price it at the maximum possible price that the App Store would allow, which was $999.99. And he pitched it as an art and lifestyle app for people who are very rich to display to other people how rich they are. Alternatively, for people who are slightly silly, to display to the world that they purchase an app that does nothing for $1,000. But either way, before the app got taken down by Apple, 7 or 8 people actually bought it, 5 of which were probably kids. But apps like this are perfect for us to get started with developing Flutter apps.
So, today we're going to be making a similar app called I Am Hungry, which just has a picture of the food item. So, the one that we selected earlier, which was pizza, and the words I am hungry at the top. So, now I'll just start sharing my screen. Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so once you're ready, open up Android Studio and select the option where we get to start a new Flutter project. So the second one right here. So I'm going to click on it. And then again, I'm going to click on this Flutter application, the first option, and click on next. And now here I get to type the name of my app. So I'm just going to call my app I am hungry. So that's going to be I in lowercase underscore am underscore hungry. So everything is in lowercase and it's separated by underscores. And then we're going to leave like the rest of it as it is. But let me just tell you what all of these things sort of mean. So this place, this project location is where your project is going to be saved. So by default, it usually gets saved into this folder called Android Studio Projects, and you'll be able to find it if you search for Android Studio Projects on your computer. And this is where your brand new app is going to be created. If you want, you can also change it by clicking here and selecting desktop or anywhere else that you want your app to be stored. So now that we have named our project, we can go ahead and click on next. And here we get to write the name of our package. So for me, it's filled in automatically. But in case it's not filled in for you, you can also fill com.example. Your app name, or you can enter instead of example, you can even enter your own name. So it's just a package name, and you can do that. But it's filled in for me by default. So I'll just go ahead and click on finish. So when I click on finish, Flutter will start, Android Studio will start creating a new Flutter project for me. This takes some time as it has to load up all the starting code that is provided by the Flutter team. So just wait for a few minutes. Okay, so you can see that it says creating Flutter projects, and this might be a bit slow, so don't worry. Like it's usually a bit slow when you're starting out. Okay, my project is loading. Okay, let me just maximize this and I'm going to minimize this. So as you can see, like when you open any new Flutter project, you already have some default code which is written by the Flutter team, and it is the code for a simple counter app. So let's go ahead and take a look at the default Flutter app which is provided by the Flutter team. So I'm going to open up an iOS simulator to show you guys the default Flutter app that is provided. And what is a simulator? So a simulator is just like a pretend version of an iOS phone. And like that, we also have Android emulators, which are pretend versions of Android phones. So you can open up any of those to see your app. So like here, I'm going to click open iOS simulator. In case you want to open Android, you can click on this AVD manager, and you can click on create virtual device and make your phone, and then click on this run button later. But I'm just going to use an iOS simulator. So I'm just going to wait for yeah, you can see that a pretend phone has started loading up. So just wait for it to open. Okay, so now we can run our app by clicking on this run button in the toolbar. So I'll just click on this. And while the app is running, you can also see the status of the app on this console. Like it says launching lib/main.dart on iPhone 11 Pro in debug mode. So the status will keep on updating while the app is loading on the phone. And even loading the app takes time again, especially if it's your first time. Like once your app has been created, then you can hot reload or hot restart, and it won't take that much time, but initially it does. So we'll just wait. Okay. So it's built now and should be launching any second. Okay. Okay, so this is the default Flutter app. It's a very simple app. It just has a title at the top which says Flutter Demo Homepage, and then a body. And it has this button at the bottom, an addition button. And if I click on it, the count increments on the screen. So it says you have pushed this button this many times. So it says 1 here. If I click on it again, it becomes 2, 3, etc. So it basically you just have a button and you can press it and the number would update on the screen. However, this is not the app that we're actually going to make. This is just the default one which is provided by Flutter. We're going to be making that I Am Hungry app. And so now Rosalia will share her screen and get you guys started on that app.
Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, so I'll start presenting now. So Shrishti showed you guys the default Flutter app that was provided by the Flutter team, but that's not the app we're going to make. We're going to be making the I Am Hungry app. So now I'm going to delete most of the code that has been pre-written by the Flutter team except for the first 5 lines. Okay, so I have deleted all the code that was provided except the first 5 lines. And now you can see that from lines 3 to 5, 3, 4, and 5 here, some code is written inside a main function. So this is the code that is used to run our app. As you know, every program starts execution from the main function. So the app is run as soon as the run app line is encountered. And you can also see that on this line, line number 4, the my app is underlined and it's red in color. And we can view the error description on Dart analysis. So Dart analysis is at the bottom of my screen and I clicked here. So it says that the error is because the function my app is not defined. So this is because my app was the app that was written by the Flutter team, which I just deleted. So it doesn't exist anymore. Instead of my app, we are going to run a blank material app first. So I'll just write material app here now. So a material app is an app that conforms to the material design pattern, and material design is simply just a design style or a concept that was created by Google, and a lot of startups and companies have adopted it for their websites and mobile apps. So I'll just switch to the browser to show you the material.io website. So as you can see, this is the homepage of the website. And if we look at the top bar, we can see a component section right here. So let's go to the component section. Now we can see that this page has a lot of components which are used in web and mobile design. So you can see all of these different components here, and I'll switch to the Flutter option. So I'm filtering the search by clicking on the Flutter button. So these are some of the widgets or material components that are incorporated in Flutter, and we are going to be using these widgets directly to build our app. So you must have already seen some of these widgets earlier in the counter app, such as the app bar and the floating action button. So see, like in this counter app, we saw the app bar here and the floating action button here. So let's get back to our material app. And we can start building up our tree of widgets. So the most important thing inside the material app is the home, and this is where everything starts. So I'll just type home in here. So if we just wanted to have some text in our app, we can do so by adding a text widget inside the home. So what I'll do is I'll add a text widget and I'll type some text. So I've added a text widget here, and now I'll add some text, which is going to be, let's say, I love pizza, because that was the food item that we selected earlier. And now I'll try to run the app. So now if we actually run our app, we can see that our text has appeared on the screen. So right now it doesn't look very good. It's just a black screen with some red text. And in Flutter, the text is aligned to the top left by default. So that's why it's all the way in the top left corner. So now let's look at the widget tree to see what we have done so far. So right now, our widget tree contains just two widgets, a material app and a text widget. So the text widget is the child of our material app. Now suppose we want to center the text. How will we do it? Well, as we said, Flutter consists of widgets. So there's another widget which is used for centering the text. So that means that our text widget will be wrapped inside a center widget, and this is what the widget tree will look like. So now our widget tree is a bit more complex. It has three components now. First, we have the material app. And then inside the material app, we have the center widget, as you can see. And the center widget centers everything inside it. So like it centers everything that it contains. And the center widget contains the text widget. So the text widget is the child of the center widget. So now let's go and add this center widget in our code. So for now, I'll just cut this text widget from here and I'll paste it at the bottom so that I can use it later. So inside the material app, I'll add this center widget. And the center widget can have a child. And the child of the center widget is our text widget. So I'll paste this text that I had copied earlier and I'll put it as the child of the center widget. So now let's run the app again and see what our app looks like. So now we can see that our text is in the center. So if you see, our code is currently running in a single line, and it's difficult to make out which widget is contained by which other widget. We can format our code with the help of Dart format compiler, which converts our code into a more readable and indented structure. To do this, we can simply add commas after every round bracket. So what I'll do is I'll add commas after every round bracket here, here, and here. And after adding commas after every round bracket, I can hit save. So I can save this. So now our code looks much more formatted, but instead of doing this, I could have pressed right click and then I could have done reformat code with Dart FMT and it would have done the same thing that I did earlier. So now our code looks much better and we can clearly make out the structure. So we are starting with the material app and the material app contains the center widget and the center widget further contains the text widget. And we can also collapse and expand sections of our code using the left toolbar. So I'll just show it to you. So we have this toolbar on the left and I can collapse the code and I can expand it. Similarly, for the material app, I can collapse the code and it will come in one line and then I can expand it again. Okay, so now also you can see that there is a line at the top which says import package, etc. So this line is used to import the material components into a Flutter app, things such as the text widget, the center widget, etc. So I'll just cut this line once. So see, if I cut this line out, you can see that all of our widgets are underlined now and Flutter doesn't know what they are anymore. So I'll put this right back here again. So you should always remember to add this import line so that you can use the material design components in your app.
Okay. So far, wait just a second, I'll minimize this tab. Okay. So far, Rosalia had taught you guys how to make this very simple text widget and center it inside our material app. But right now, we don't actually have much on our screen. We just have this black screen with some text. So what if we want to add more things into our app, like such as an app bar or a body? So what was that app bar? Remember the counter app? We had that top bar at the top. Like, so what if we wanted to add that, or we wanted to have a body in our app? So how will we do that? For that, we use something else which is called a scaffold. So what is a scaffold? A scaffold is just another widget, just like the center widget or the material app or the text widget, which lets us store the common items on our screen. So I'm going to paste a link in the chat box, which is the documentation for the scaffold class. You guys can read this, or you can actually see my screen for like right now, and later in your own time you can look at the documentation to learn more about what the scaffold class does. So here you can see it says that it implements the basic material design visual layout structure. So if you scroll down a bit, sorry, yeah, yeah. You can also see some of the properties that it has, like body, app bar, background color. So later we're going to be manipulating these properties to add app bars, background color, and content to our app. Okay, so first of all, let me go ahead and add a scaffold. So I'm going to cut out the center part for a second and I'm going to put it here. And instead of center, I'm going to add a scaffold in my home area. Wait, I'll minimize this so you can see the simulator. So I've added this scaffold. And if I do Control J on my keyboard, I can see all of the properties like that were there in the documentation as well that the scaffold class has. Like it has this app bar, floating action button, and that floating action button was that plus button in the default Flutter app. So it has many different properties that we can use. So first of all, let's go ahead and so first of all, let's go ahead and add like the app bar that we wanted. So before adding an app bar, we should know what an app bar is. So let's see that. So the app bar is simply a pre-built material widget and it adds a top bar to your app, just like in the default Flutter app, or you can look at this picture. This is basically the app bar. And it has a lot of different properties which you can see in the documentation. For example, it can have a title, or it can have a leading icon like this one, or it can even have a background color like this bluish purple color. And you can read all about these properties later. So the first thing that we want to do is that we want to add a title to our app bar. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me come back to the code. So first of all, we'll add an app bar by using the app bar property of the scaffold. And then we'll add an app bar widget. And inside this widget, we can also add a title property. Like you can see title over here. So I'm going to add the title property. And what the title property expects is, it expects a text widget, just like this I love pizza widget. So we're going to add that. And in the text widget, let me just add the title of our app. So that was I am hungry. So let me just add that, and I'm just going to remove this now, and let me hit save and run my app. So now you can see that the app looks much better. We have a nice app bar at the top, which has the title of the app as well. So now we have an app bar, but now we want to like add other properties like not of the app bar that we can change. Like we've changed the title property so far, but what if I wanted to change the color? Like suppose I don't like this blue color and I want to use another color. So I can do that as well. So if we look at the documentation for the app bar, this was Scaffold. We can look at the documentation for the app bar and look at the properties. Okay, so you can see this background color pop property, and this is exactly what we need. So you can see that this background color property requires a color. So how do we add colors to our app in Flutter? So by using material design in our app, we get access to a whole bunch of colors which are a part of the material design package. And you can see them on this material design color website. These are all of the different shades and tones of colors that you can use. There are many, and you can find them. So and there we are free to use any of these colors inside our app. We also have shades and accent tones of the same color, like these are shades and accent tones of yellow. So now let's go ahead and change the background color of our app bar. I quite like this 800 color, 800 shade of yellow. So this is what I'll use, and you can use any other color that you want. So let's just go and do that. So we've changed the title property of app bar. Now I'm going to be adding a background color property as well. Okay. So background color, and to add the color, you can just do colors dot yellow. And I had chosen that 800 shade, so I'm going to add that in the square brackets, and it even appears here in the gutter area, so you can see your color also. And now if I run my app, the app bar background color has changed, and now it has this nice yellow color. Okay, so now we have changed the background color of our app bar. But how do we change the background color of the entire body of the app? Like the body is still white. What if now I want to change the background color of the body? So again, the answer is the documentation. So if you look at the scaffold documentation, you can see that even this has a background color property which expects the color widget. So we are going to be changing that for the scaffold. So here, so this is background color, the background color property, and let me choose a lighter yellow shade, so maybe yellow 100. And if I refresh, you can see that the background color of my app has changed. So currently our app doesn't have any content. It just has this app bar and then this empty screen. So to add content in our app, we have to again change a property of the scaffold, which is the body property. The body of the scaffold is where all the content of our app will go, and it expects an image widget. So let me just show you, like, here in the scaffold we've set two properties already, background color and app bar. Now I'm going to be setting the body property, and this body property expects any widget. So if we wanted to add an image in our app, we would use this image widget. But in Flutter, an image widget does not actually come with a default image. It's just like a placeholder or a photo frame. So, but like, it doesn't actually contain any image. So if we want to add an image to it, again we have to use one of its properties, which is the image property. And we, like, you can see image. And also in Flutter there are different types of images. Like, we have asset image, which are the images that comes from the files in our project folder on our local computer. And then we have network images, which come from the internet. So for now, let's go ahead and add a network image. So sorry, here, network image. And in the brackets, I'll have to specify a URL of string type. So let's go ahead and find any random picture. So I'm just going to search picture, and let me go to Google Images. Okay, so this picture is nice. And to get the URL, I can open this image, right click and open image in new tab, and then I can copy this URL. Now I want any one of you to go to Google and find an image. You can find an image of pizza, and please send the URL in the chat box, and we'll use that image and add that to our app. So any one of you can find any image and put the URL in the chat box. Okay, Jigyasa has given us this image. Okay, let me, wait, I'll just copy her link from here. Okay, so now that we have a URL, to put the URL, we can simply use single quotes and copy paste the link that we have, and now we can run the app. Okay, I guess there is some error, invalid image data. Okay, let me check out the link. Jigyasa, did you do it like I said, like you opened the image in new tab? Wait, you have to do like right click and open link in new tab.
Maybe I can send the link of her image. I got it from the new tab if you want.
Oh, okay, it's this, right? I think it's this. Okay, let me try this one. Okay, okay. So now you can see that her image has come at the top. And again, the image has come to the top at default, by default. So what if we want it to appear in the center? So what can we do? Like, we've already seen this before. So would one of you like to answer? Like, we've already seen how to center text, and centering images is exactly the same. So any one of you can answer how to center this image. Does anyone have any idea? It's just like how we centered the text. Jigyasa, do you want to try? Like, you can say anything. Okay, Apurva has answered center child network image URL. Yes, that's perfect. We simply have to wrap our network. We simply have to wrap this image widget inside a center. So previously, what you had seen is that we had copy pasted it at the bottom, and then we had put center, then repasted it. So instead, there's actually a easier way. So you just hover over your widget, and you see this light bulb action, which shows the context actions, and you can click wrap with center, and it will do that. Now, if I click on this run button again, our image has come at the center. So now it looks much better. Okay, so let's look at the app structure so far. So this is the app structure that we have, and let's start from the beginning. So we have a material app right at the top of the tree. Now, that material app has a single item that's embedded inside it, and that's a scaffold. And inside the scaffold, we've got a couple of things. We've got an app bar, we've got a center widget, and we've even got a color widget. So, the background color of the app bar was made using the color widget. That's why we have this color widget here. And these are the three children or descendants of our scaffold, and all of these children as all of the descendants of the scaffold have their own descendants or children as well. So the center widget has an image as a child, and remember we said that the image widget is just like a picture frame, and it has to have some content for it to actually display something. So the image widget actually has a child that is a network image, because it has to fetch the image from the internet. And the app bar has two children, a title, that's a text widget, and a background color, that's a color widget. And that is the overall widget tree. So by embedding widgets inside other widgets and setting the properties of each of these widgets, we've ended up creating an actual app which can be used on both iOS and Android. So remember I mentioned earlier that there are two types of images, network images which are fetched from the internet, and also asset images which we get from our local storage. So I've told you how to add network images. So now Rosalia can go ahead and teach you how to add asset images.
So right now we have a network image in our app which uses the URL specified to fetch the image from the internet. So currently I'm using the one which Srishti had searched initially. But like, what if we want to add an image which is stored in our local machine to our app? Since we might not always have an internet connection, like we might not always have an access to an internet connection. So to do this, we can first right click on a project folder. So this is our project folder, and it has all of its files and folders inside it. So I'll right click on this, and then here it says new, and then I'll click on new directory, and I'll create a new directory. So now I'll call our directory images, and I can create this directory. So now you can see that inside our project folder we also have this images folder. So now I'll try to add an image to this directory, and this is the directory where we'll store our images. So I had downloaded an image of the pizza, and I'll try to drag it. So to add this image to the images directory, I simply have to drag it, and then I have to drop it here on the images folder.
Rosalia, just wait a second. Like someone was asking if your screen is frozen, but I don't think so. Like maybe you can check your connection, Apurva, once.
Can you see me like how like
Yeah.
dragging my?
Now your screen is not frozen. Can you please repeat if it's okay?
Okay, just wait a second. I'll repeat the entire thing. So did you see
Uh,
the part where I was
Thank you.
creating this directory?
Yeah, I saw that you right clicked on it and after that the screen
Okay,
froze.
I'll just delete this once again, and I'll show it to you again.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay, so first, so we have this project folder, and it's called I am hungry, and it has all of the files and folders of our project inside. So to create a new directory, I'll right click on this I am hungry project folder, and I'll press on new, and then I'll select directory, and I'll name this directory images. So that's all I had to do to create this images folder inside our project folder. And this is the images folder where we'll be storing all of the images of our app. So I have downloaded an image of a pizza, so you can see that here. And I'll to add this pizza image to the images folder, I just have to drag it, and I have to drop it to the images folder. So as you can see, if like the images folder will have a little red boundary, if you can see this right there. So this is indicating that this is the folder where we are about to add our image. So I'll just drag it here now, and I'll press OK. So now if we click on the images folder, we can see that it now contains the image that I had downloaded. So I'll just rename it to pizza so that it's little easier to use this image later. So we have this pizza image inside our folder. But also we need to tell Flutter that the image exists, right? So to do that, we have to go to a configuration file now, which is the pubspec.yaml file. So I'll navigate there. So to find the pubspec.yaml file, if you can see our project directory inside this, if we scroll towards the bottom, you can see this pubspec.yaml file here. So I'll navigate there. So this is the pubspec.yaml file and it has a lot of things written. And if I go down a bit and I scroll, it can like we can even see that in this comment it even tells you how to add assets to the application. So I'll just go ahead and uncomment this part. And it's like currently like it has the like path of some random images added, so I'll delete one and I'll add the path of our image. So our image was called pizza.png, so I'll add a path called pizza.png. So currently I just, type the path manually, but instead of that, I could have copied the path by right clicking on this pizza.png image and I could have pressed on copy path. And then I'll press path from content root and then I can paste it here as well, like the same way. But since I had typed that earlier, I'll delete that, but we can also copy paste the path. So you might notice here in this pubspec.yaml file that the comments start from a hashtag instead of our usual backslashes. So this is because YAML file is a special type of file and YAML stands for YAML in markup language. It's a very human readable and user friendly language which tells the computer which configurations we need in our Flutter project. And we also notice that there are many comments here in our entire file. So I'll just go ahead and delete that because they're crowding up the space and I'll delete them to clean up our file a bit. So I'll delete all the comments. Okay, so I have deleted all the comments now and our file looks much cleaner. So one more important thing about the YAML file is that it relies heavily on indentation. So you can see that there are lines which are completely aligned with the margin or the gutter area, such as this one. It's like completely on the left. And and this indicates one level, and there are files which are like indented inside this, so these indicate the inner levels. So in .yaml files, each indentation is of 2 spaces, so you can see that this Flutter test, it has 1 space and 2 spaces. So we have to be so basically for each indentation we need 2 spaces and we have to be very careful about these indentations. So if you notice, then the indentation of this assets line is not correct, so I'll fix this up. And currently it has 3 spaces, if you can see, 1 2 3, so I have to make this into 2, so I'll just shift it by 1. And this one also has, I guess, 1 2 3, it has 3 indentations too, so I'll go ahead and delete one indentation from here too. So now I have deleted all the extra spaces and I've fixed the indentation, and now I can press pub get. So I'm going to be pressing pub get here, and this will incorporate the image in our project. So now what we have done is we have made Flutter know that we have an image that exists in our project folder, and now I'll go back to our main.dart file. And currently we have this network image widget, but that's not the widget that we want. So I'll delete this. And since I want to use an image that I downloaded from the internet, I'll use the asset image widget. Yeah, so inside this asset image widget, I simply have to paste the path that we had copied earlier. So the path of the image. So I'll copy the path of the image again. And I guess I need another bracket here. I'll just check that. So now I'll press run. And we can see that our image has appeared on the screen. So now, like, we have added an asset image to our app too. So now let's go back to the pubspec.yaml file once. So basically, like, for this, for adding one image of pizza, I had written the path of this one pizza image right here. But suppose I had 50 to 60 images in our app. Now I don't want to keep adding a line for every single image in my pubspec.yaml file, right? Because it would be really long and it would be a hard task to add a path for every single image. So instead of this, we can simply specify the path of the images folder. So instead of the path of the image, now has specified the path of the images folder. And now all the images inside the folder can be accessed throughout our app. So now if I press run, so the app has run again and you can see that absolutely nothing has changed. So, so that's it. And we have completed our first app.
Okay, so that was all for today, and thanks a lot for attending this session. And your task for next class is to make an app along similar lines. You can call it anything like I am poor, or I am not I am rich, because we talked about that, but I am anything like I am tired, I am sleepy, anything you want. And then you can put a picture that's relevant to your title in the app. Like you can put a picture of a lump of coal or anything that you want, and feel free to experiment with different colors and images. And we'll be sending all the links of the documentation in the group, so you can refer to that and you can message us if you need any help. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you in the next session.